All right, so that was an officer talking about the traffic cam footage capturing the vehicle in the Tex McIver case. Real quick, I'm joined here by criminal defense attorney Norman Williams. What's interesting when I was hearing about that is the fact that there were no cameras that could see what was happening in the car.
Right.
Isn't that really the whole case? We'll never really know what happened in the car. Nothing was captured.
It leaves a lot of room for the defense to come up with the story.
It really does. And yesterday we saw really about the financials of Diane McIver. So real quick, I know we might have a witness coming on and we might talk about it a little bit later. What was the incentive, based upon her financial situation, for Tex McIver to kill Diane?
I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, if you're doing it to get the big insurance payoff, which for what she was worth, I'm sure that she was insured through the roof.
Well, we know that she was worth $12 million, but she only had $400,000 in her bank accounts, and even at one point, Tex was surprised at that number. Norman, stand by. We actually have the next witness on the stand, so we're going to hear. It's going to be a pretty good day, I think, in this case. It was a great day yesterday learning more about the McIvers, and now we have a new witness on the stand. And by the way, that's a live feed in the courtroom. That's Tex McIver over there on the far-hand side. That's his attorney with the
ponytail,
the braid in his hair. That's a whole separate discussion we'll hopefully have later.
Yes.
But as soon as we have audio, we're going to make sure to go into the courtroom. I think the next witness is coming on the stand, so let's listen in.
What do you do for Emory University?
I'm the operations manager for all the valet stations there.
And what does that mean for you on a regular basis?
Controlling in the parking and delivery back to the customers of all vehicles that are valet.
And are you responsible for that on one Emory campus or multiple?
If we're talking about it at that time, it was Emory Main Hospital and Emory Midtown.
Okay, and you're saying at that time, what are you talking about?
Well, if we're talking about the situation right now, then we're only at Emory Main Hospital.
Okay, is that September of 2016?
Yeah, 2016 we had Emory and Emory Midtown.
And when you say Emory, what?
Main Hospital on Clifton, and we also had Emory Midtown on Peachtree.
All right. About how far apart are those two hospitals from each other?
Maybe 4 miles.
Okay. When you are working for Emory in 2016, are you in the same role that you just told the jury about now?
Yes.
And does that include some knowledge or responsibility over the camera system there?
Yeah.
Okay. Just talking about the Emory Clifton campus, tell the jury, does the valet have cameras out there?
Yes.
And where are they located?
In the valet area where they pull up at, where all vehicles pull up, we have a 4-camera system.
All right, and for jurors who have not been out to Emory on Clifton Road, if you're entering from the street there, what does the valet look like when you pull up?
Okay, when you turn right into valet or left, depending on which direction you're coming into, it's a circular drive around. It pulls in front of the emergency doors and the hospital doors. That's where we valet at. And then the camera system, the way I have it set up, I can see everything from the time the cars turn the curve right there by emergency.
And in 2016, was there anything going on at the hospital that made the appearance of the valet area any different?
Yes. At that time, they were building, it was during the construction of the new tower that's now open. And so we had a barricade over the center area that was 7 foot high. So we only see the vehicles once they hit right in front of emergency where my cameras could see. Now I can see across the street.
About how many cameras total do you have out
4.
there? Just 4. And are they all operated in some sort of central area?
Yeah, the cameras are actually used for damage control. Customer pulls. As we take the car out, we can see damage on both sides of the vehicle.
The entrance that we are talking with the jury about, is that what kind of an entrance to the hospital? General entrance, emergency room only?
It's general entrance first and then emergencies right next to it.
And at some point after September 25th of 2016, were you able to review video footage related to the incident we're here for today?
Yes.
And did you actually download the images and put them onto a disc, or did you look at it some other way?
Some other way.
Tell the jury what happened.
I was contacted by PD, and they wanted to look at it and see if they could get any video footage. And so I went on ahead and started looking for it. And then because they gave me the times, and so I actually filmed it for them, and that's how they got it.
And have you been able to review the footage that you were able to pull and provide since actually pulling and providing it?
Yes.
And the video, did you actually review it with the officer while you were sitting right there?
Yeah, the officer was there when I did the footage.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you what's been previously shown to defense counsel as State's Exhibit 242 through 246.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of these fair and accurate depictions of what is actually on the camera.
Correct.
And for State's Exhibit 242, the disc itself, any changes to that recording, alterations, deletions that you did?
No.
All right. Your Honor, I'm going to tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 242 through 246.
Okay. Okay. Before I admit it, I'm confused. You used the verb film when you said you made a copy, and by saying you filmed it, that makes me think that you've got some machine that's playing the video, and then you're using a camera to actually take a film of something playing on the screen, like you're bootlegging a movie or something. Not that I know how to do that. But what did you mean by that? How the copy that's on that disc, is that actually burnt from the actual footage, or did you have to stand there with it?
I had to stand there with my phone. And
Okay. So you filmed it?
yeah.
All right, that's what you said. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, so what you're watching right there is Art Wagner. He's a valet attendant at Emory Hospital. And the reason this is important is because we're going to try to study the reactions of Tex McIver when he arrived at the hospital with Diane. And you remember from the prosecution's opening statements, he said gunshot. He had a relaxed demeanor about him. But then again, the defense said, you show me a manual where somebody has how you're supposed to react to situations like this, because I can't find it. Again, I'm here with criminal defense attorney Norman Williams. Norman, what do you think this footage is going to help show the jury?
Probably not much, unfortunately. It's not, I guess it can show McIver's gait, how he's walking, whether he looks like he's under a lot of stress. But as far as what he's saying and what his real demeanor is, it can be kind of tough.
Yeah. Let's listen back in.
But this is where you come in and you curve right here, and you come around and you leave out. But when you valet right here, and we take the target on that one.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did it help to have the lights down? The ones I can control?
Thank you. And sir, I'm sorry, I don't want to make you stand back up, but the far left screen, I guess where you see that car right there on the far left of the image,
Yeah.
Where is that car coming from?
Off of the street. That's where they enter on the far end, and then they drive around the barricade that they had up at that time.
Okay, and on the far right of the screen where we see that silver car.
That's
pulling
going
out.
to be the exit side. That's this curve coming on around and on your way out.
And if a valet is in the car on their way out, where would they take the vehicle then?
To our main garage for hospital valet.
And is that still on the campus, the garage?
Yeah, it's still on the campus, but it's actually across the street and down and then into the garage.
Okay, all right, thank you. Can you see from this monitor in front of you the timestamp? I'm going to show you some pictures in a second, but can you see right there what the timestamp is?
Yeah, I can see.
What is it? Tell the jury.
22:15:44 is still.
Can you see the driver's side door open on the left side of your screen?
Yes.
All right, will you show the jury with your pointer?
See the door is open right there.
And what's the timestamp on there now?
22/17/08.
What time is that for non-military time, folks?
10/17.
Okay. And so can you see the car pulling forward to where you described the jurors?
The car pulling forward is on its way to the valet garage right now.
Okay. All right, thank you. You can have a seat for me. I'm going to show you a couple different pictures. Let me start. The Emory Hospital, if you know, the actual inside of the hospital itself, do they also have cameras?
Correct.
And have you seen those images or any footage from their cameras before?
Related to this?
No, any cameras inside the
I've
hospital?
seen footage from their cameras.
All right, fair to say the quality of their camera is a little better than the picture image from the valet that we just saw?
Depends on what you're looking at.
All right, okay,
Because I've seen
fair
it in
enough.
different areas.
Sure, okay. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you what has been marked and shown to defense as State's Exhibit 247 through 249.
I'm out of pages with numbers like that. Will we get a
Yes,
pretty soon?
like in the next 10 minutes, yes.
All right.
Sorry about that.
You recognize these?
Yeah.
All right. Are these a fair and accurate depiction of sort of what the valet area looks like now?
Yes, this is how it looks now.
All right. I'm going to tend to what's the mark. It's 247 through 249. Hopefully there's no objection.
No objection to 247 through 249, correct. Admitted.
Let's orient the jurors a little bit so they can understand what they just saw there. What do we see here in 247?
Okay, 247, you need,
Sure, if that helps.
yeah, it's easy. Okay, 247, this would be the entryway in. This outside ring right here is actually what was blocked off before, and then as you see the four pillars, the barricade at that time was around all of this, but they reconstructed it.
Okay, and when you say barricade, are you still able to drive in and make entry into the hospital at that time?
Yes, but you can't see through. Like my cameras are across from there and they can't see out. All you can see is that curve that you saw on the video.
Okay, and so that's why our angle was the way that it was?
Yes.
All right, what about State's Exhibit 248?
Okay, this is a much tighter shot, and you can see where if the barricades were there back as they were back then, you wouldn't be able to see outside. And this is where the vehicle came around. There's emergency. There's the hospital entrance. The emergency entrance is right there.
And State's Exhibit 249.
All right, that's where my camera is. And there's a set of cameras there, and straight across from it, there's another set. But at that time, the camera was actually right here. The setup was right here, and the opposite two cameras was right across from it on the actual barricade wall. I had temporarily mounted them there.
While the construction was going on?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. You can see. You told us some timestamps. This is 244 for the record. This is a shot of what we just saw. Tell the jury, what is the timestamp there as we see that white car pulling in?
22:15 and 13 seconds.
Okay, so So 10:15 p.m. and 13 seconds, is that
Correct.
right? And do you do anything in the sort of ordinary course of what you do to make sure or lead you to an opinion about the accuracy of the timestamp there on your camera?
The cameras are never, the DVD recorder's never off. I've been there 2 years, and they've never been off.
Okay. And do you, as a supervisor there and working these cameras, do you make sure that all of your cameras are sort of synced with each other on that same time?
As close as you can get. To actually set up this camera system, you actually have to set one up, go walk over to it, which is only across from it in my case, and sync it, and then go back and do the next until you do all four.
And so you actually sync all the cameras yourself? Or you have synced these cameras yourself?
Those pretty much are under me. I'm pretty much the guy.
Okay. Tell the jury about what makes you said that the system is never off. How is it that you make sure that that's synced against something constant?
Well, with 4 cameras, unless power went out completely at the hospital, the DVR would always be on. And since we've never had all 4 cameras down, I've only had to move the cameras around on the side of the barricade. The other 2 that are right there by the camera system and the DVR have never been on.
And in your time there, in the 2 years that
In
you
the
just
2
told
years
us?
that I've been there.
All right, and you know that personally because you're a supervisor there
I know personally because I'm the one who kept having to move the other one, so.
during the construction.
Right.
How long was the construction going on, if you know?
It started on that side where they put the barricades up my second week there, and it lasted until June of last year.
And so what would have been the start, but your best guess of the start date?
Let's see, I started March 20-something, so a couple of weeks, maybe April 1st, April 2nd, somewhere around there.
Of 2016?
Yes, the barricades went up 2016.
Just one more time. Question. In your time as a supervisor, you told us about 2 campuses. What county is this Clifton Road campus located in that we just talked about?
It's Atlanta now. Is it in DeKalb or Fulton? I'm not from Atlanta, so.
That's fair. That's fair. The Midtown campus that we talked about there that you said was how far?
It's on Peach Street downtown. So.
How often are you actually on the Midtown campus?
At least 1 or 2 days a week. I go there. I drive.
Those are all my questions.
Okay. Mr. Sam? I ask a question. Can I put the lights back up, or are you going to use? Doesn't matter.
Mr. Wagner, how long has there been an ER at Emory Hospital? Do you know?
I have no idea. It was there when I started 2 years ago. The emergency's always been right there, as far
Since
as I
you've
know.
been there?
Yeah.
And the construction was because they were building a hospital across the street, correct?
They're building the tower across the street, but they put that glass bridge in over Clifton. That's why.
That's what I was going to ask. So they built this huge bridge, it's like a 2-story bridge,
Correct.
right across Clifton.
Right.
That connects the new hospital
With the tower.
the old hospital or the existing hospital. And the bridge goes right on top of the ER, correct? Kind of circles around and goes into the building right on top of the ER.
Well, it comes out over no, that was already there because there was a bridge originally there. But they reconstructed to where the bridge is now. It goes across the street, almost over the crosswalk right there. But before, it used to be cutting across A Clinic, which is across the street.
And that made the traffic pattern kind of difficult to navigate, correct? You had barricades in the middle of the driveway, right?
Yes, there were barricades in the driveway.
Not only did you have barricades, but you had the white
Delineators.
huh?
Delineators.
Delineators.
Ballards,
I'm
delineators.
learning a lot about traffic here. And these delineators, we're not talking about white marks on the road, we're talking about poles and chains, right?
Yeah.
And there were like 2 or 3 different lanes that you had to figure out which lane to go into to get into the ER, right?
Not during when the barricades were up. We only had one lane in.
Okay. There were, well, now there's like 3, right?
Yeah, there's like 3.
All right, a little audio issue right there. Again, I'm here with criminal defense attorney Norman Williams. You're hearing this testimony about how the McIvers entered into the entrance, and when we first saw it, it actually looked a little bit like a underground parking garage, but it's really just a low-hanging entrance, Norman. And if you could explain, why does this matter right now?
You know, this is one of those moments in the trial where there's a ton of witnesses that I feel sorry for jurors. Because this poor quality video isn't showing anything. And it's so boring. And whether or not Mr. Wagner set the DVR correctly and whether or not he maintains this video and everything is it's just not important. It just doesn't give the jury anything.
Yeah, well, we have to listen in nonetheless and hear if there might be a good, juicy tidbit. So let's listen in to Art Wagner.
No, it happens all the time. Yeah, we get those people. Yeah, it's emergency right next to the hospital.
People don't come in there to park to get food from the cafeteria, right?
No.
They come in there because they're trying to get to the ER, not as visitors, but as patients, right? Passengers are, I assume, passengers are the patients, correct?
Yes.
Your wheelchairs right there, right?
Yes.
The whole stack, it's like the grocery store has all the grocery carts, you have stacks of wheelchairs that come out and pick people up, right?
Yeah, the hospital provides wheelchairs.
There's signage out on Clifton to tell you how to get into the ER, correct?
Correct.
Is there any sign out there that says ER, no trauma? You ever seen a sign that says that?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you ever seen a sign out there that says ER, but don't come in here if you have a traumatic injury?
No.
Have you ever seen a sign out there that says ER, okay, but it's hazardous to your health to come in here if you have a gunshot wound?
No.
Like a cigarette pack or something, because it's hazardous to you. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
Every sign out there says ER, emergency, right?
That's for ER, yeah. Besides our signs for valet. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a sign anywhere, including on billboards all throughout Atlanta, that say, Emory, ER, don't come here with trauma?
No.
Have you seen billboards for Emory all around Atlanta?
Yes.
Big billboards out on Claremont and North Decatur, those are the fine eating establishment there in McDonald's. You see the big billboards out there, Emory Hospital to the right? They're coming from the north side of Emory.
No.
Where have you seen billboards?
I've seen billboards around the city, but I haven't seen one near a McDonald's that said that.
And any one of those billboards, saying, don't come to Emory if you have a traumatic injury. You've ever seen it. I was asking about anywhere.
Okay, I think you've made your point, though. If you want to get to another area, I invite you to do that.
I would ask, I'd be allowed to ask about billboards other than just the signage outside of them.
How many billboards for Emory have you seen?
Quite a few.
Okay, I want you to ask your question, and then let's get somewhere else.
With
You
regard
made
to-
your point.
With regard to billboard, any of the billboards you've seen, have you ever seen one that said, don't come to Emory with a traumatic injury or a gunshot?
No.
Timestamp is, am I understand correct that what we were looking at is the white Ford coming in at 10:17 or 10:15? What was the time?
Well, it started at 10:13.
The car coming in.
Yeah.
The car made it into the ER 1013?
I do believe that's was the start of the video, which would be the start time of it just turning in and coming into view, focus.
Okay. And you think that time is accurate, 1013?
I would say it's probably accurate.
And it's kind of weird looking at it. There's shadows. That's you taking a movie of a screen, correct?
Yes.
Is there some reason you couldn't just pull it off the screen? It just doesn't. Can you not get a digital picture from the?
Well, actually, I could have had it put on jump drive, but the detective that showed up didn't have his jump drive, didn't have a jump drive with him.
So you just used your camera, your iPhone or something?
Yeah.
Took a movie of the movie, which is why we have shadows, because you lights behind you, presumably, correct?
Right.
And then you just you somehow emailed or something.
Yeah, send it to him.
Sent it to him. That's what we have in evidence here.
Yes.
Your video of the video.
Yes.
Does your phone have a timestamp?
Yes, it does.
Did it show what time it was taking?
The video?
I withdraw that.
No, I was going to say that's not going to work. Yeah.
Okay, but you're taking a picture of the timestamp of the actual.
Well, the timestamp is on the video as it's playing.
Okay.
Just a few more questions. The Emory Midtown campus, how far is that from the entrance to Piedmont Park?
I have no idea. I've never been to Piedmont Park.
If you are going from, never been to Piedmont Park?
No.
Okay. If you are going from the Midtown campus to the Emory campus, which way do you take to get there?
Usually I just go down Ponce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Takes you all the way there.
No, it didn't take me all the way because I have to turn off Ponce at Moreland.
Okay. And then where?
Then to North Decatur. And then to Clifton.
Have you seen in the screen in front of you the white SUV yet?
Yeah.
And tell the jurors what is the time on the camera right there.
22:15:01.
Tell the jury when you first see that SUV.
I'm already looking at it.
Okay. And so the very beginning of the recording we have, see if I can get it there. Tell the jury what's the time there.
22:14:55.
So 10:14:55.
Yeah, 10:14:55.
All right. Okay. Mr. Samuel asked you a bunch of questions about billboards, your experience with billboards around the city. In addition to Emory, have you seen billboards for other hospitals around the city of Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from the jurors?
Yep.
I don't see Deputy Murphy. Deputy Kane, you mind getting these questions from the jurors, please? Thank you.
All right, everybody. So again, that was Art Wagner. He's a valet attendant at Emory Hospital when the McIvers showed up, when Diane showed up with that gunshot wound. Again, let's talk a little bit about this because you've been seeing this testimony for a while now. I'm joined by criminal defense attorney Norman Williams. We talked about in the break the idea that this is more, actually, there is a jury question going down, so we're going to have to wait 1 second, but
That might be the best question asked.
probably. The jury questions have been fantastic so far, really get to the meat of this testimony. But you mentioned the point about bringing certain witnesses when you first start your case first, as opposed to now. What do you think of their strategy so far, what the state is doing?
If they want to put the jurors to sleep there, I think they're going to accomplish that. I mean, I wouldn't start with I wouldn't have the valet, I wouldn't have the cops necessarily. You know, I would put the biggest witnesses on first.
Right, because they're starting with their motive witnesses as opposed to
Right.
what actually happened in the car.
Exactly, and they don't have to prove motive. So to start off that way, it just seems a little backwards to me. If you want to prove motive in ways becomes gravy at the end. I mean, start off with what happened in the car. Ballistics will tell you what happened in the car. Danny Joe's testimony will tell you what happened in the car. And perhaps some better, clearer surveillance video might tell you what happened in the car.
Right. I'm curious if they're going to ask this guy what he saw of how they entered into the emergency room. So
That's
we're waiting
the
to
question.
That's really the question we're waiting to hear, and whether or not he can actually answer that. So let's listen in. As soon as we have audio, we're going to make sure to go to it. I want to make sure that we capture what the question actually is. But I do love the jury questions because we saw it yesterday. They really get to the heart of it. So we saw one witness who testified that somebody that worked with Diane, their first question was, well, why do you not work there anymore? Really getting into the idea of bias. You know, and I love that. And then we saw another question about the file cabinets. Okay, so we know that Diane had all these file cabinets with secret papers. Okay, let's actually listen into the jury question.
Oh, they're excusing him, it looks like.
All right, so again, we're just waiting on this. It doesn't, although Art Wagner was just dismissed as a juror, so we thought there might be a jury question. Stand by, we'll find out a little bit more about this. But we were talking a little bit about this case in general. And Norman, so Norman, stand by. Let's listen in. Again, you're watching the judge. A new witness has now taken the stand. Let's listen in and hear who she is.
How long have you been employed in your position?
At Emory total 29 years.
Okay. And how long have you been a director of public safety?
For approximately 3 to 4 years.
Okay. And does the Emory University Hospital, the Clifton campus, have a surveillance system?
Yes.
And what is it called?
It's called Exact Vision.
And does that surveillance system report?
Yes.
And about how many cameras do you have throughout the Emory University Hospital?
It's over 200. I don't know the exact amount, but it's over 200 cameras.
Okay. And are there cameras in the emergency department?
We have them, yes.
Okay, and where are they located?
In the valet area and coming into the entrance around the lobby, triage area.
Okay. After the surveillance system reports for a particular day, how long is the recording kept on the system?
In our high traffic areas, approximately 7 days. If it's a low volume area, it could be a little bit longer.
And is the emergency department or the valley area considered to be a high traffic area?
That's considered to be a high traffic area.
Okay. And I want to go back to September 25th, 2016. Did you request that the videos from that evening be downloaded?
I did. Because that's a high traffic area, and normally when something happens in one of our high traffic areas, and I know the video is only recorded, saved for approximately 7 days, I normally request that we save that video in case we need it at a later date. Either the hospital might need it for risk management or, for some reason like this. So that's why I request that we save it prior to, so it won't be recorded over.
Okay. And when you say when something happens like this, what are you talking about?
We might have a person that falls. If a person falls, or we have a theft of a bag, or we have had a bag, people's personal belongings stolen while they're in the valet area or in the waiting area. So we have to go back and get it. If it's something that I think the hospital might be responsible for, so then we have the video saved. And so that's areas like this. So with a gunshot victim coming in, that was video that I was thinking that we might need at a later date. So rather than waiting for it to be requested, when I got the report, I said, could you go back, and my technical security manager, which is she has expertise over the camera. So I requested that she go back and save that video from the time of the report that the person came in until see what footage we had to just save from that time, in that time frame.
Okay. Have you seen it before?
Yes.
And what are the contents of that?
That right there is the valet area.
So as this representative from Emory Hospital speaks, let's talk a little bit more about this case. Again, I'm here with criminal defense attorney Norman Williams. What about this case strikes you? We talked so much about the prosecution having an uphill battle. What do you think they've done well so far in articulating for the jury? Whether it was today or any other day in their case, is it the idea that he really was the shooter?
Yeah, I mean, I guess diving into the financial aspects of her life, I mean, that's important.
Yeah, I think it gives, anytime you have a husband on trial, you look at, was there another woman? Was there a financial? Interesting we talk about the other woman because there was a witness, Janie Calhoun, who was a friend, and she actually dated the defendant at one point in their life. And there was a conversation yesterday about a comment she may have made to Tex after Diane died about maybe wanting to get back together with him, but I don't think that's enough.
Right, I don't think so either. Like, it kind of feels like nothing's enough, you know. The potential affairs is not enough. The financial situation really doesn't seem like it's enough. Like, it's weird. Like, it's a weird case, and I think that the prosecutors diving into motive up front, it could be a huge mistake.
Well, as we follow our chatters here and we're listening to different reviews, most people are not convinced so far that he's guilty. They think the state needs to do much more. Now, we know that they're going to be calling many more witnesses. This is just the beginning part of this long trial, so we'll have to see where it goes, especially, and Norman, as we talked about, getting into the inside of what happened in the car.
Yeah, and can you say overkill? 90-plus witnesses? I mean, the judge got a little uptight about the pace of the trial. Of course, any judge is going to get uptight when they know that they have 90 witnesses. And just with this witness that's being examined now by the prosecution, you know, the judge already admonished this prosecutor and kind of telling her, like, why are you repeating the testimony? Like, this just drags things along.
Well, Norman, actually, this is the live video of the hospital. Let's look. Let's listen in.
Ooh, something good now.
Can you see it?
10:02.
Okay. And if you could, do you know how the time is calibrated on the surveillance system?
Well, the exact vision is a server in itself, and we download it onto the hospital server. So it's like a server in a server. So you download the picture, and when we go back and show the video, it basically gives you the time that the incident was occurring. And then if you look, well, on ours, we have a server time at the bottom, and then we have a computer time. But on this one right here, just basically give you the time and the date that the video was actually shot in real time.
Okay. And were you there this evening?
No.
Okay. Now you said there was the server for the camera system and the server for the hospital. What's the difference between the times of the two servers?
Well, with Exact Vision, that right there, when the cameras are installed, we manually program the date and time.
Okay.
Where the Emory server that is already with the program.
Okay. And is there a difference between the two times?
If you manually key it in, it could possibly be a different time. It could be off somewhat.
And did you check the difference recently?
No. I inquired about the time change recently, if it updated itself.
Okay. And that's it?
Yes.
I'm just going to rewind just a little bit. If you could tell me what time the white SUV is entering into the TV camera.
Right at the base of the driveway is 10:02.
10:02 what?
And 50 seconds.
If you could use the pointer, Ms. Scott Harrell is right here. Just turn around and point to where.
You just watched the video of Tex McIver, Diane, Danny Joe arriving at the front entrance of the hospital, and you just saw, as disturbing as an image as it was and sad, you saw Diane slumped over in the wheelchair as they escorted her in. But that's not the only thing. We also were observing the behavior of Tex McIver. Norman, what did you make of the behavior of Tex McIver?
I mean, he seemed as normal as you can after you shot your wife, I guess. I mean, he looked a little excited. It's clear that he's in the way, and that he wasn't getting out of the way that people don't when they get to a hospital and medical.
I don't know. He looks supportive. He looks supportive, and
yeah, he does.
And now we're going to see another entrance. This is probably when they come right into the entrance of the hospital. I know this is a disturbing image, but it's important to watch. Let's look at it live.
Do you know who this guy is?
Not by name. No, he's a valet attendant.
Okay. Do you know who that is?
I just know there are ER nurses in right there in the uniform. That's Anthony Shaw.
And who is Mr. Shaw?
He's the supervisor for nights.
Is he employed by
Public
which
safety.
agency or by
Emory Public Safety.
Okay. Do you know where they're going?
They're going out to the ballet area.
And what time is this thing?
10:05 and 15 seconds.
Okay. And I'm gonna go back to this one and fast forward a little bit. And here it shows they arrived at 10:02?
Yes.
And you see the guy in the red shirt?
Yes.
Do you know who the guy in the white shirt is?
Not by name, but I know he's a ballet attendant also.
And the time here that shows that they entered what time?
It's 10:04, 45 seconds.
Do you recall talking to our investigator John Griffin within like the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Do you recall that she asked you about the timing on the cameras and on the server?
She did. She said there was a difference in time. And I was not really certain. And I said that our technical security manager, Vanessa Moore, will be able to assist her in understanding the time difference.
Wow, that was some powerful footage you just saw of Diane McIver entering into the hospital. She slumped over in a wheelchair. That's a live feed right now in the courtroom. That's Tex McIver looking very somber. Norman, I know our time together is over, but thanks for joining this morning. Have any final thoughts about this case?
I really hope the prosecutor puts this into a higher, faster gear. Right now, I would be doing a happy dance as a defense.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see where it goes. Norman, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure, Jesse.
Pleasure. All right, let's tune back into the courtroom.